Ngcobo and Juniour Khumalo were right inside the chamber where a lot of things were said. We're going to start there first before we try to make sense of some of the things that actually that were said inside the chamber. Ziyanda Khumalo, let's start with you. Ziyanda Ngcobo, let's start with you first.
A lot of Khumalos that are being discussed today. Of course, Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo concluding his second day of testimony here at the Madlanga Commission. The name of Counter and Security Intelligence Major General Feroz Khan coming up once again. Unfortunately for the South African public, that testimony about Khan communicating with Vusimuzi Matlala will be done in camera. However, what we have been listening to over the last couple of hours is discussions over many days and weeks between Vusimuzi Matlala and Brown Mogotsi. At the beginning, it seems like it's very cordial, very symbiotic, and very reciprocal insofar as the nature of the relationship. They're on the same page in terms of payments that Brown Mogotsi would consistently request from Vusimuzi Matlala, be it for paying for ANC delegates to go to the January 8th conference, for flights, accommodation, entertainment, or even just general cash flow matters. However, as the day progressed, as Khumalo continued with his testimony, so did the WhatsApp messages, where you could tell that after News 24, his investigations team did released a report on the 360 million rand Medicare tender irregularity, which was awarded to Vusimuzi Matlala, who's also been implicated in the Tembisa Hospital scandal and was part of, News 24's large investigation. 4 days later, Ngcobo ordered National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola to actually look into the tender. It's then when the relationship between Vusimuzi Matlala and Mogotsi seemed to change. Matlala expressing how he feels hard done by the consistent requesting of favors from Mogotsi, but seemingly not getting returns in investment. Listen to this.
The message reads thus: Good morning, Minister. I just received a call from our guy, who is a service provider for our health risk management project. He has got very serious concerns. Apparently, you gave a directive to scrutinize his contract, and while they at it, they must stall as much as they can to release purchase orders until you guys come up with something that can warrant termination of services.
So that's the conversation between Matlala and Mogotsi. And let's go back a little bit, because someone like Brown Mogotsi is an interesting character, not only because he has been linked and associated closely with a police minister, Ngcobo, but he was also implicated in the CR17 campaign, internal party campaign of the ANC, when President Cyril Ramaphosa was campaigning to become the president of that organization. And it's also common calls that President Ramaphosa and Ngcobo were close allies. Could it be that Brown Mogotsi is the common denominator, or was Mogotsi seemingly scamming many other people? How many other Vusimuzi Matlalas was Brown Mogotsi speaking to, allegedly on behalf or perhaps at the behest of Ngcobo? And that's why then I want to bring in my colleague Juniour Khumalo to unpack this a bit further, because Juniour, there were more things that came from those WhatsApp messages, isn't it?
Indeed, Ziyanda, there are actually more questions that we have than we did before the start of this testimony. I think the promise, especially from individuals such as Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, as well as the National Police Commissioner Fani Masemula, when they were basically giving testimony before this very commission, they had actually promised that when Khumalo comes to basically give testimony, we will finally get more clarity. There will be this linking of the dots. But after his testimony, it seems like there are still questions. He has not completed his testimony. As you may know, he did indicate and did request that some of his testimony be done on camera because there are still ongoing investigations that he did not want to be disrupted by giving testimony in public. But the biggest question, I think, is, was there any clear connection between Minister Senzo Mchunu as well as this Brown Mogotsi, or was Brown Mogotsi basically extorting Vusimuzi Matlala using the name of the minister? Because the only thing that we saw when it comes to the testimony that was provided and those charts, the messages that were provided today, was that there were screenshots with a name of Senzo Mchunu and basically a consistent reference to Minister Senzo Mchunu that was made by this Brown Mogotsi character. But for more people, they are going to ask the question on if then there was no real relationship and Brown Mogotsi was making up some of these requests, why then did the minister eventually write that letter basically instructing the disbandment of the unit? So there are still a lot of questions that still need to be ventilated even further. We know that Khumalo is still going to give more testimony. But one thing that he also tried to shed light on was the amount of articles that have since been written, especially after the disbandment, or that letter instructing the disbandment of this political killings task team. Most of these articles that have been written basically smearing and being negative against the workings of the political killings task team, as well as Khumalo and Mkhwanazi. He basically seems to suggest that this was a misinformation that was directed towards the political killings task team, as well as those that were at the helm of this political killings task team, seemingly in a bid to try and justify then that request or that instruction by Minister Mchunu. He has named, he has indicated that there were some individuals, especially who were either public commentators or within the media space, that were working to try and bring that disinformation. But also later on, he spoke about basically the time at which there was a fallout between Brown Mogotsi as well as Vusimuzi Matlala and the minister. My colleague Ziyanda has touched on that a bit, speaking about that contract, the Medicare 24 contract, that 360 million contract that Vusi Matlala actually had with the SAPS. Once the minister basically instructed that that contract be terminated, it seems like that is where all of this relationship between Matlala and Brown Mogotsi fell apart. But let's take a listen to what Khumalo said about this.
Mr. Matlala is responding to the message sent, a short message sent by Mr. Mogotsi with a very long message which reads, this relationship should not be one-sided, brother. I asked you several favors which are not even money related, but none of them have been attended to. The last one, it's even worse because it's even orchestrated from your camp and nothing has been done about it.
Towards the end, basically, of Khumalo's testimony, he basically spoke about how the tone also started changing, especially from Matlala's side, where he was threatening Brown Mogotsi as well as the minister, saying that he was going to take all of the messages, all of the communication that they had, especially of the payments as well that he had made towards the January 8 travels and expenses. He was basically going to take all of that to the media. He also threatened to go to the courts and actually actually expose what had done, also instructing that if this contract was not reinstated, he was basically going to drag the minister down with him. But we do expect a lot more to come out of this testimony, especially if Khumalo is going to continue with his testimony tomorrow, as well as whatever he is going to deliver on camera. Now, for now, it's back to you, Vuyo, in studio.